Hello everyone, it's Maki. The story of Z GUNDAM is complex and difficult to fully grasp. Last time, I discussed Jamida of Haiman's true objective as the leader of the Titans. I also mentioned that during the Gryps War conflict, the leaders all share the same goal, yet end up in conflict with one another. This time, let's analyze the objectives of the AEUG and the Axis who are against the Titans. As I've said, they share the same objective as Jamida. Now I'd like to discuss the specifics. Before getting into the main topic, I have a quick announcement. I'm looking for support through membership on my channel. For 99 cents a month, you can get a name badge and comment stamps. Alright, let's begin the analysis. First, let's review AEUG's objectives. The AEUG is essentially an internal faction within the Earth's Federation forces. In episode 13 of the TV anime, the epilogue explains that the world has come to know that the Earth's Federation forces have begun a conflict between two factions. However, this was the situation as of episode 13. Things were different when AEUG was first established. Originally, AEUG was not a clearly defined military organization, but rather a small group formed to support space noise in their daily lives. When radical thinkers within AEUG joined forces with major corporations, like Anaheim Electronics, however, things began to change. Once Brigadier General Gryps War of the Earth's Federation became its leader, the AEUG transformed into a large military organization that opposed the Titans. The turning point was the 30 Bunch incident. The Titans attacked a gathering of people dissatisfied with the Earth's Federation government. The attack wiped out countless innocent civilians living in a space colony. According to the first volume of the novel, 15 million people died in the attack. In episode 7 of the anime series, Henkan Bekana says that the 30 Bunch incident triggered anti-Federation action. What kind of demands did the people gathered at 30 Bunch make? Their words express the philosophy that drives the AEUG's activities. In episode 7, Quadrobachi now explains this philosophy clearly. Humanity must act in ways that support the Earth's ability to recover. All people should live in space colonies. That was the claim made by those at 30 Bunch. This idea also appears in the first volume of the novel in a passage describing Bright Noah's feelings. Bright agreed with the space noise opinions. All of humanity should live in space. He believed that people should focus solely on helping the Earth restore its natural strengths. Protagonist Kmiu Biden also expresses a similar sentiment in episode 13 of the TV anime. It's strange that some people can't realize that building civilizations on Earth only pollutes the planet further. Yoshiyuki Tomino, the story's creator, presents this theme repeatedly in various ways. All of humanity should live independently in space, away from Earth. Humanity should also dedicate itself to restoring the planet's natural environment. That is the AEUG's objective. Now, let's examine the objectives of the Axis, the remnants of the Zeon forces. In a recent program, I introduced Jamida of Haiman's ideology. In volume 3 of the novel, Jamida says I sympathize with Garen's principles, but the method he chose was wrong. The philosophy of Axis is the revival of the Zombie family. It's an organization that carries on Garen Zombie's ideas, with Minba Zombie as its leader. Garen was a man who inherited Zeon Doom Daikon's ideology. He added his own interpretation, of course, rather than simply repeating Zeon's words, but the core of his ideology remained the same. Xian is famous for creating and preaching the concept of the new type. He is also known for advocating the autonomy and independence of space noids. But that's not all. In Volume 1 of the Zeta Gundam novel, Xian's claims are recorded. In order to avoid polluting the Earth, he argued that all of humanity should emigrate to space colonies. He demanded the sovereign independence of those living in space colonies. Giran inherited this ideology as well. To restore the Earth's environment, he aimed to reduce the overgrown population. He believed that under the leadership of the Principality of Xion, humanity could be saved from extinction. Giran combined the idea of management and administration by great power with the claims of Xion Zum Daikon. The Axis inherited Giran's ideology. Now, let's focus on the words of Haman Khan, the true leader of Axis. In episode 47 of Gundam Double Zeta, she discusses her objective. These are her words right after being defeated by the protagonist, Judo Ashtar. Thanks to you sassy kids, I wasn't able to wipe out the fools who cling to Earth. It's all because of you children. That's what she says. Here, Tomino uses a slightly tricky expression. This is an analysis based on Japanese audio. In this scene, Haman uses the word sokashi toward Judo and the others. This Japanese word has multiple meanings. It can be used to mean sassy. It can also mean pretending to be clever in front of others. In another sense, it can mean showing judgment and intellectual ability. The word can mean trying to appear smart only in appearance or actually possessing superior intelligence. It is a phrase that can be interpreted in completely opposite ways depending on how you interpret the feelings of the person who spoke it. The audience is left to decide how to interpret this word. One interpretation is I tried to eliminate the fools obsessed with Earth, but encountering these capable children changed my way of thinking. Now, let's return to Haman's objective. His goal is the elimination of foolish humans obsessed with Earth. This is also the purpose of Axis as a whole. To restore the Earth's environment, all of humanity should emigrate to space. That is Axis's claim. The AEUG, the Titans, and the Axis all acted with the same objective in mind. However, they became enemies because they focused on things like who would hold power after the war. It's also important to note that they made mistakes in their approach. Jomidov judged that Giran's ideology was good, but he chose the wrong methods. However, Jomidov himself also chose the wrong methods. Of course, there's a reason for this. Jomidov was elderly and thought time is short. As a character, Jomidov is fascinating and I'd like to study him further. In many spin-offs and games, he is often portrayed as the boss of an evil organization or the very symbol of great evil. However, by studying his ideology, we might gain a new perspective on him. By analyzing Jomidov's ideology and the story of Zeta Gundam, we might also rediscover the overarching theme of the Gundam series itself. This is the future that Hathaway Noah strives for in Hathaway's Flash. Although it doesn't take place in the Universal Century, Master Asia's ideals in Z Gundam can be seen as an ideology that inherits the DNA of the Universal Century series. Thank you so much for watching until the end. See you in the next program.